the Rant Network with Stuart, Brisgel, and David Solomon every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
Happy Monday morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well, COVID free and symptom free and pain free and all that as the world seems to fall apart with Omicron, at least in our neck of the woods. I'm David Solomon here in Montreal, where it's minus 20 degrees with the cold. Yeah, he's Stuart Brisgel. He's in Florida, where it's got to be plus 20 something degrees Celsius, and hopefully he's warm and enjoying himself. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're not here to talk about that bullshit. Our live podcasts are all about the rant and what really turns our crank, and what really pisses us off this week is the fact that the governments, Stuart, have continued to want us to focus on COVID, in your case, voter rights and the January 6th, what we talked about last week. But the one thing that is going under the radar that no one wants to talk about, no government, is the I word, Stuart.
Yep, that is correct, David. And I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well in North Side, but if it was that cold every day of the week for me, as sunny, partially cloudy, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, I could tell you I'm not complaining too much, but I feel for you. Last week, I was out most of the week, dying of the probably similar illnesses. Mine was 100% not COVID, maybe not, because there's no test that really tells you if it is or isn't. But at the end of the day, if you get sick, stay home, stay warm, stay healthy. And, again, COVID's here forever. But you're right. We're not on the C word today. We're on the I word. Inflation. Inflation is a rate at which the value of a currency is falling. And consequently, the general level of prices for all the goods that you buy, and I would say every day. Because inflation of an awning, which is a big, huge thing, comes off your house, preventing you from the sun, no one really gives a shit. Inflation on the lawnmower, no one really gives a shit. However, the inflation index is determined by each government independently. And that's what CPI is, right? And then you have the wholesale price index, which is WPI. Both of them are all about inflation. So most of you today go to the store and buy milk, eggs, and cheese. And I think our snapshot of the day was a picture of gasoline in the United States in Sunny Isles Beach, Florida. And just so we put things in perspective, right? We're talking about gas prices. And if you understand what gas prices is something we do every single day. And if you look at our chart, today, the gas price shows at $3.40, which is an average between premium and non-premium. So the average price is $3.40. The average price at the bottom of the Trump was $1.96. So gas is up what percentage? Well, the problem is that is what's called real inflation. Real inflation that you and I and everyone, regardless of our income, regardless of our tax rate, is paying each and every single day. And no government wants to talk about inflation. Why? Because they figure you're too stupid to understand that inflation is another form of government taxation, right? Because in Canada, a lot of your gas prices is all tax. In the United States, there's about 50 cents a gallon.
But let's talk something here about, let's talk turkey, folks. Okay, inflation is really why are we worried about inflation? Why are we concerned that the governments here seem to be ignoring it? Is because if you look at what happened, the official rate in Canada was inflation was up 4.4%. In the United States, 6.8%. Stuart, what's an annual? An annual. Normal in the last 20 years, what was the annual? Was
couple of percentage points.
1 to 2%. The problem is that, so folks, here's the thing.
Hang on a second, but David, it's 1 to 2%, never including gas, stuff that we actually buy. So let's take that out.
I get it. But that's my whole thing about inflation.
Right.
The whole thing about inflation is that people, what folks say is that it's par for the course. It's not par for the course. This is all about what the government has put in as policies and what they could do to lower your costs and my costs otherwise. Because let's put it this way. The average family, and this is a really crazy of household spending, and it's just I'll give you an idea. Like if you include taxes and you own a home in Canada, you spend approximately $93,000 in expenses, which includes $17,000 of taxes. All right, so let's just pretend for argument's sake, you spend $75,000 a year buying food, taking care of a home, buying clothes, recreation, personal care, blah, 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 blah. Let's say it's $75,000. 1%, $75,000 a year on total expenditures. Taking care of your home, clothes, food. Do a budget. If you have never done a budget, do it. Take your credit card bills. You'll see how scary it is. But if you do not, if you're spending $75,000 a year, and you think about it, salaries, are they going up 6, 10, 8, 10%? Don't know. But how about the fact that if you're saying to me that on a normal year, and by the way, Stuart, I did not include gas in there. But if I'm talking about spending $75,000 a year, and on an average year, it's going to go up 1%, that's $750. But if I'm going up 4 to 6% per year, that $750 is now $3,000 to $5,000 more after tax. That's this year. That doesn't include gas. What about next year? If it goes up again, this insurmountable amount. Now, we haven't seen this in 40 years. Okay? If you don't believe me, look up interest rates in the 1970s and 80s, and you're going to see what kind of like what we were dealing with here. This is what the government is failing to explain. Now, in Canada, we talk about gas prices, and in Canada, the average gas price over the last few years was around $1.30. We're at $1.60 a liter, by the way, not a gallon. For those of you who are freaking out in the United States that you're coming to Canada to buy gas, just multiply that by 3.6, 3.8, whatever it is.
But in the price of the Canadian, once you take the Canadian price per liter, which you multiply, David, by how much?
3.8. But forget about taxes.
There is an additional 50 cents in the Canadian
more
price.
Than that. More than that. And but you're no, it's actually a percentage.
No different than the United States.
It's a percentage. But the point is that our gas prices, tax or no tax, and the average consumer could give a shit if it's tax or not tax. But it's a percentage basis, Stuart. So if the price of gas goes up, the price of taxes will go up accordingly. No one cares here. If you're sitting at the gas tank, at the gas pumps, I should say, no one cares if it's tax or no tax. All they see is that last week you paid one thing and this week you're paying way more. I'm looking at the pumps and it's like the prices are outrageous. And the blame, it's China, supply chain, but it's not just that. Look at the government policies. Why did we get here? You printed a ton of money to pay people over COVID. Real estate. You want to buy a home today? 20% more. 20% more to buy a home than you did a year ago. How can you get a mortgage?
Well, and just so you know, I wanted to put this statistic up just so we captured it. The federal rate, which is about 11% in 1979, rose to over 20%, right? So if you're trying to buy a home, it reached a high of 21.5%. No one could afford to buy a home with that being the interest rate. They'll all be homeless. In Canada, you have resetting mortgages every 5 years, I believe. So a 30-year fixed is only with 5 years, and then you have to renegotiate. If you're renegotiating in 1982, you're fucked. You're done. You're buried.
Look, it's at this point, what worries me more than anything else, and again, if you're going to buy a home, and I know a lot of young families, my oldest is at an age where his friends are starting to get married, and they're looking at a starter home, and they can't. They can't because they can't afford 20% if you're talking about a $200,000 home, which I don't know where you're going to find a $200,000 home, but let's just pretend it's now $240,000. You need to find another $40,000 now to pay for it. And oh, by the way, if you look at the crystal ball, it's only getting worse. We're not getting better.
Yeah,
so
but they also now in the U.S. force you to keep an additional 60% reserves to cover the next year's mortgage. It's even worse. This is Dodd-Frank. This is the law that was supposed to help you, protect you.
But that's the thing, is that right now, when I'll tell you, Justin Trudeau during the election said monetary policy is not his concern. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, bro? You're about to bury the Canadian economy. The same thing in the United States. Watching from here and listening to Joe Biden, who only wants to crap on Trump and who only wants to talk about, we're gonna put a who cares that you want?
That's regular politics. If I've got nothing to run my whole entire legacy on, I have to blame the other party because I have nothing bad to say. He's a failure across the board.
I get it, but the problem is there's no money. And the Democrats want to and the Liberals in Canada want to put out more programs. There's no money. And so as a result, what are we going to do? Where are we going to get this money? Businesses are closed right now here in Quebec and in parts of Canada, thanks to COVID. So it's not like we're not eating at restaurants. We're not, we're not going for entertainment purposes, whatever. So in theory, we should be able to save a few extra dollars, but not with the costs going through the roof.
Well, listen, I just want to pull up this chart because this is a great chart. This ended November 21. Inflation in food was 6.1% in the United States. Energy was 33 1/3. And food and grocery items were over 5%. Now, I don't know about you, but I own a company on top of being in finance, and this company employs people that work every day, work in warehouses, work in shipping, work in sales, and they earn a meager salary. When you said $75,000 a year, David, I know it's Canadian, but these people they make, $15 an hour, $13 an hour. And these people don't know what $75,000 a year because they're renting, and their rent has gone up from example, a two-bedroom gone from $2,000 to $4,000 here.
I gave you a statistic of a Canadian homeowner. Now I didn't talk about somebody who rents.
I understand, but I want to bring it down to you.
But if rent, look, Stuart, if rent goes up, let's just say your folks are living in a place where they're paying $600-700 a month in rent, and it's up
now $1,400. That's now $1,400.
Right. That's it. So the same place that you had a chance to get under $1,000 is charging you $1,400. The same place. That's rent. Okay, and yeah, they're going to talk about maybe throwing in light, heat, and power and internet and all that. But at the end of the day, that cost is coming out of where? It's all after tax. And to sit there and to say, okay, if I'm getting hit with my rent, and I'm getting hit when I go to the grocery store, and when I get hit when I go to the gas pump, and let's just say I take public transit. How much is public transit going up this year to cover the cost of increase of gas and labor and whatever?
And that's government and tax subsidized.
That's totally government taxation. So the point is that nobody I know is thrilled about inflation when you sit and you read and you think about it. But the crazy thing is that people are ignoring this, Stuart. People are just letting it go. There's not enough of a yelling and screaming. There's not enough of again, we're going to let the governments don't worry, the government's going to protect us. The government's not protecting you, folks. They're not. Because to give you an idea, to drop gas prices, you release some of the oil reserves. That's the policy. I'm not a genius about this. This is one policy because then the demand and the supply level off and the prices come down. No, I'm sorry. We can't do that. Stuart, I'm going to tell you as we wrap up this quarter hour, it's another shame. It's another bad shame that the real concern we should be having is on inflation. COVID, like you said, is here to stay for a while. I don't know. I can't pontificate. But if we don't take good care of inflation, we won't be able to afford anything. Forget about COVID keeping us at home.
I agree. David, I'd like to thank you with your struggling voice.
Yeah.
You gave me your all. You're a better man than me because I disappeared and crawled into my dungeon. But I want to just reach out to everybody. Please tell your friends, like us, message us, PM us. We need your support. We really do. We love doing this over and over and over again. New topics every single week, even though if they sound the same, they really aren't, because everything is different. You know, we talked about inflation, we talked about cost, we talked about taxation, and we come back around to different subsets. Please, we're here for you. We love you. Thank you, David. Thank you, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
For those of you who are want to share, please do share podcasts. We're everywhere where podcasts can be downloaded. Just type in the Rant Network. You're going to find us there. Folks, we love you. Thanks so much. Have a great week. We'll see you.